What's up, y'all? My name is JR, and for those of you who don't already know, I'm a huge movie and TV nerd. If you're new here, I appreciate you taking the time to check out my channel. I hope you'll consider sticking around and joining the film community I'm trying to build here on YouTube. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about Season 1 of House of the Dragon, and in particular, the decision to change the race of Corlys and by extension, Vaemon Velaryon, and the trickle-down effect that decision had on the rest of the season. And with that being said, no more wasting time. Let's get into it. So I've never really been a fan of race swapping characters in TV and film, mostly because I think it's lazy and at times it can be downright offensive. Plus, I think it gives Hollywood an excuse to deny opportunities to more African American writers, producers, directors, and performers by taking a role that should be played by a white person and giving it to a black person. What I think we as African Americans need instead are more fresh stories written for us, by us, which is part of the reason I started screenwriting in the first place. But race swapping the Valaryons and House of the Dragon is extremely problematic for a number of reasons, some related to the story and some that have to do with where we are currently in our society. And I'm going to talk about those reasons here. So, first things first. The decision to make the Velaryons black doesn't work story-wise. Now, even though House of the Dragon takes place some 172 years before the events of Game of Thrones, the television show is happening in real time after Game of Thrones. Now, what that means is that the racial makeup of Westeros has already been well established by the original show. The only people of color that exist in Westeros are the Dornish, and there's a whole story about how exactly that came to be. Now, throughout Game of Thrones, I only remember seeing one black person that could be considered Westerosi, and that was Areo Hota, Doran Martell's bodyguard. We saw him in Season 5, Episode 6, Unbowed, Unbent, Unbroken, when he had to break up a fight between Jaime and Bronn and the Sand Snakes. In fact, later in the story, Season 8, Episode 1 and 2 to be exact, Grey Worm and Missandei make a pretty big deal about the fact that there aren't any black people in Westeros. That's literally why they make plans to go back to North, where Missandei is from, after the war is done. So to all of a sudden, not only see all these black characters kicking it in King's Landing in House of the Dragon, but to have one of the most powerful families in Westeros be black just doesn't feel like a thing. And before some of you try to come for me, the Valaryons are not black in fire and blood. I checked. That was a change that was made specifically for the show, for diversity's sake. But let's forget about Game of Thrones for just a second. Why doesn't the race swap work in House of the Dragon? Well, one of the biggest plot points in Season 1 of House of the Dragon involves Rhaenyra Targaryen having married Laenor Velaryon, the not-so-openly gay, half-black son of Corlys Velaryon and Rhaenys Targaryen. And due to the fact that Laenor is gay, Rhaenyra ends up having 3 illegitimate children with Sir Harwin Strong, son of Lionel Strong. And, let's be honest, a dude as white as a sheet of paper. So, when this happens, we are supposed to believe that Rhaenyra believes that she can hide the fact that her children are bastards from everyone with influence in the realm. But because of the race change of Corlys and therefore his brother Vaemon in this particular version of the story, this plot point just doesn't work anymore. Juxtapose that fact with the casting of Baela and Rhaena Targaryen, the daughters of Daemon Targaryen, and Laena Velaryon, Laenor's sister. Now, that is what Rhaenyra and Laenor's sons should look like as far as their skin tones are concerned, but they don't. And it's more than painfully clear as you watch the story continue to unfold. Now, for me, where this all gets even more uncomfortable is the part in all this where Viserys knows deep down that Rhaenyra's sons are not legitimate. And he does something that, though I can understand on its face, because of the race swap, completely rubs me the wrong way. He orders that no one in Westeros is allowed to question the legitimacy of Rhaenyra's children, and that if anyone should violate that order, that they'll be sentenced to death. Meanwhile, Rhaenyra is trying to legitimize her sons by brokering a deal with Rhaenys Targaryen. Now, keep in mind, after being believed to have had Laenor killed, after Laena has already died during childbirth, so that she can marry Daemon. But she agrees to marry her sons to Rhaenys' granddaughters, Baela and Rhaena, Daemon's daughters, while also seeking to place her son, Lucerys Velaryon, or Strong, depending on how you look at it, in the line of succession to become the Lord of Driftmark, even over Vaemon Velaryon, Corlys' brother, once Corlys becomes gravely ill while at sea. So here we have a serious race issue in the story. Viserys Targaryen, King of Westeros, seeks to help his daughter not only supplant the rightful heirs of Driftmark, who just so happen to be the only lords of color in Westeros, but he is also willing to stand idly by and see them completely erased through marriage. Also, his chosen heir, his daughter, the first woman ever chosen to sit the Iron Throne in the history of the country, can have her cake and eat it too. And what's worse, he has decided to kill any of them who see a problem with this. I mean, in episode 8, we literally watch Vaemon Velaryon get beheaded by Daemon, with Dark Sister, in the throne room for objecting to the eradication of his family line in order to provide cover for a white woman who had absolutely no respect for her father or for the position she had been granted. Now, I know the showrunners and maybe even the writers thought this was a cute idea. But when you replace white characters with black characters for diversity's sake, while appropriating source material that, of course, can't take that into account because it's already been written to completion and published, you then have to take on the responsibility of caring for those characters differently than the source material did. But the showrunners of House of the Dragon don't do that here. Instead, we get a black family that didn't exist in the book, only to have one of them end up dying in childbirth, another banished somewhere across the narrow sea, even though I've heard that he may be coming back in season 2, and one of them beheaded for standing up for black folks' right to fight erasure, all before season 1 even ended. And I don't know. I just didn't like it. Not one bit. And don't get me wrong, the show is still fantastic, and I'll certainly keep watching it despite this rant. But I have to admit, I felt some type of way about how that seemingly simple choice made me feel complex feelings about how this story is playing out. But what do you guys think? Am I making a big deal out of nothing here? Or does my deeper analysis of this choice hit home in a way you didn't think of upon first watch? Let me know in the comments. And for those of you who might be new to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe. That way you'll be notified whenever I drop a new video. Also, be sure to go check out my website, themadscreenwriter.com, for more reviews, no spoiler reviews, by the way, and info on my upcoming film projects. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I got screenplays to write, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.